The devil and the hero's journey are inherently linked. There is a scene towards the end of the King Arthur movie where King Arthur says to his uncle, who's the bad guy, "You make sense of the devil." And it was such a profound line, it hit me, and I was not expecting to find it in such a, normal action Hollywood movie. But there it was. So what did he mean when he said that? Well, it's true that in every great piece of storytelling, there has to be a great antagonist. Let's use modern movies as an example. Go back to The Gladiator with Commodus, Lord of the Rings with Saruman and Sauron, the Joker in The Dark Knight, and then obviously Thanos in Marvel Phase 4. These were all fantastic bad guys, which really did make the movies more inherently interesting and engaging. The truth is, this is a micro version of a macro truth. It is actually hardship and overcoming these hardships that maketh the man. Men without struggle, without hardship, become soft, placid and weak, and they don't make for a great story. They're not that interesting. Since we're talking about bad guys, I want to focus in on the devil. And we're going to talk about the devil within and the devil without. Each of us human beings are born with an innate darkness within, and we also have to contend with darkness outside of ourselves. It's much easier, much more comfortable to understand that there is a darkness outside of ourselves. It becomes rather more unsettling to start to look at the devil within. Now, you may call me a little bit of a masochist, but I prefer to focus on the devil within. How you deal with this darkness within you will actually correlate to how many interactions you have with darkness from the outside world. The two are related, and ultimately we can't really control what's outside of ourselves, but we can control what's within. I want to make one thing absolutely unequivocally clear. I am not looking to inspire fear in this video. Actually, the opposite. I'm looking to inspire courage. In my various meditative and reflective practices over the years, I have experienced the devil within. I have seen that darkness within my own mind. I did a form of meditation, a technique that I've discussed in another video, that is designed to help you hack and deprogram your subconscious mind. In order to do that, you have to go in there with intention and delve into your subconscious programming and everything that is kind of underneath the veil that we can see. When you go into these deep sessions, you interact with thoughts and almost entities at a certain level when you get deep enough, and you really are dragging this stuff up into the surface, into the light. Now, the mind definitely knows how to present horrifying imagery and thoughts in your mind's eye. It's an expert at it, and you definitely encounter this when you go into these deeper sessions. I'm not really encouraging you to do the same thing. These kinds of practices are not for everyone, and as rightly suggested to me by a friend many years ago, actually sounds dangerous. And I guess it could be if you were going in there and you weren't able to stay centered. The fact that these thoughts are possible would become extremely unsettling.
It feels like you're testing yourself. It feels like you go, God, in this situation, the worst thing you could think is, and then you have that thought, and then you think, God, George, don't have that thought again. And so you do. And then you go, well, if you're somebody that can have that thought, does that mean you are this person? And if so, you're horrible, mate,
For those of you who don't know, George Ezra is quite a famous musician. I did hear that clip somewhere on the internet, on YouTube, and I found it incredibly interesting. It was almost like he's interacting with these thoughts. He's actually become aware of the thoughts. So the reality is that's not something that requires therapy, in my opinion. What that is that you're actually switching on to the fact that you've got the thought stream running all the time. And it does come up with all sorts. And this is actually true of most people, if not all people on the planet. It's actually the first rung of spiritual development, is actually becoming aware of your thoughts. Now, when they've done that, they've become very disturbed by the thoughts that were happening, by the compulsions, by the desires. All these things are tapped and together with the thought stream. It's incredibly important to develop practices and train yourself to be able to stay centered, stay detached from these disturbing thought patterns that may be occurring. All they're doing here is tapping in to the mind and beginning a spiritual journey. Now, you don't want to neuter that, you don't want to cut that away. You want to actually explore it. The easiest way to do this and develop this skill that I've been talking about is to do concentrated meditation. I've talked about this, I've got a little short about meditation. Doing that and perfecting over time and improving the skill of this detached observer is huge for your development. So I'd encourage you all watching this video, if you wish to progress, is to start meditating and start meditating consistently.
So you have mentioned that you use transcendental meditation. Is that something you have come to recently?
Relatively, like 18 months ago. I love it. I aim for one a day, and at least it's 20 minutes with my eyes closed and a bit of peace and quiet.
So it's 20 minutes of repeating the same word
that's
over and over with your eyes closed.
You have got something to focus on. It's this mantra, and naturally you will think of other things, and you might think about other things for 5 minutes in a meditation, but it's to remind yourself to come back. I should just say, quite soon after starting, it became very apparent that it was having a positive impact on my life. That's the only reason I carry on doing it, because I'm convinced I see a difference in myself.
So whether it's the devil outside yourself, the devil within, the role of the devil is to encourage us to act out evil or unkind or unsavory thoughts and desires. That is basically its job description. And when I say job description, it's because the intelligent creator of all, aka God, has designed the devil as well, has designed everything that is evil, and it's really there to fulfill a purpose. Now, why is that? Why do we have this darkness within and this darkness without to deal with? What is the reason for torturing us? Well, without the devil, there wouldn't be a path or a journey towards improvement and towards freedom. There would be no victory because there was no game being played from the beginning. Without the darkness, we can't appreciate the light. Without falling, without stumbling, without giving in, without succumbing to these unsavory thoughts, feelings, emotions, there would be no progression. We are going to stumble, we are going to fumble, we are going to fail. But the point is that we can always get access to higher states. We've always got that ability that's innately being given to us. Our goal every day that we exist is to not succumb to these negative thoughts, feelings, and desires. It is to transcend. And every one of those thoughts, feelings, and desires that is not acted upon, that is not engaged with, is us starting to ascend to another vibrational frequency, to a higher, more evolved vibrational frequency. We would not have this opportunity, nor would it really mean anything if there was no struggle. So the question is this: what are you going to do? What path are you going to choose? Nowadays we see debauchery, dishonor, poor conduct all around us, and it gets rewarded by this world in a lot of cases. And we see it so much we've become desensitized to it, almost to the level where it's normal. So are you going to follow the herd and become yet another being that has failed its inner battle, that has decided instead to shut its eyes, bury its head in the sand, or sleepwalk through its entire existence? Or are you going to utilize the opportunity to transcend, to defeat these inner demons with your iron will, with your laser beam focus, thereby becoming a being that's tuned into higher vibrational frequencies and is able to act upon intuition much more readily, much more easily? Transcend or descend. This is the reason why the devil exists, and this is ultimately the reason why we are here in this realm, with its rules and with the way that it's all set up. The choices that we make every second of every day will ultimately define who we are and what level we operate at. So the devil is not something to be scared of. It is ultimately here to do a role. So how on earth do you deal with this darkness within? Do you work on trying to release it? Do you work on trying to find out where it's come from? Some sort of psychoanalysis? As I mentioned just before, My belief is that becoming centered, becoming detached, becoming the observer of the thoughts, and staying in that place is the best way of mitigating the effect of these thought streams. As soon as you become fearful of the thoughts, as soon as you become angry at yourself or guilty or have some sort of negative emotion about the thing, you will almost give it oxygen, you'll almost give it fuel, and it'll become a self-perpetuating cycle and a battle you can never really win. So instead of cowering with fear, as the masses do, and switching off and being in blissful ignorance, stand with your shoulders back and embrace the heat, embrace the pressure, embrace all the difficulties. Give it a big hug. This is life. It's what we're here for. Be great. This is the warrior of God.